Ring, ring, ring. Hello, Simps and Virgins, and welcome back to Krown's magical crypto game.
Fuck off me! Good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. A little bit of a later start today just because, as someone correctly identified, I think it was Mr. Van Doysen in the chat, dumping. I was dumping. I had a little bit of a late start myself, so everything was just a little bit later than what it typically is. What's up, Mr. Peter Underwood? We all want the same thing. Bitcoin to dump like Krown after a milky coffee in the morning. It didn't even need milk today. It was just actually, it appears that whenever I have like spicy food, my insides just turn inside out, I guess. Anyways, it was spicy chicken. Like I thought it would be okay, but my stomach had different ideas. I mean, I was farting at all hours of the night. Still in Finland, says Cheap Vlog. Indeed we are, and still waiting for summer actually, because it doesn't really exist here, I guess. Anyways, in fact, there is summer in Finland, but it happens between the hours of like 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then it just goes back to, I guess, whatever the fuck you call this outside of my window right now, which is very overcast and slightly warm. I mean, it's warm for Finland, like 15 degrees Celsius, pretty good. When the coffee hits, the dump comes. Yeah, that's the best way to invoke the dumpola gods. Many things to talk about today. Many things to talk about indeed. David Middleton says, I just want alts to go up. Please go up. Please go up. Sir, make them go up. Even just the top 20 alts. You're asking for a lot, sir. You're asking for a lot. Actually, let me turn off my Discord notifications in the background. That's going to get annoying as all hell, so apologies about that. And let me get some Twitter action going on over here as well. We've been loving incorporating the Twitter peoples into the live streams. In fact, I've actually been going live on Twitter when I record the daily videos, and I see a lot of familiar faces there. I see Bob Blah Blah. I see Lazy XBT, Jordan Jackalini. It's like all these names rhyme. It's really good. Anita Max Win, 770 Psy, and Mr. Danny Khalifa. Is this track on Spotify? No, it's actually only available on YouTube through my channel. It is literally just titled the Krown Crypto theme song, something like that. You'll find it if you search that up on YouTube. It was actually made by one of our community members, who is a professional music producer. I don't fucking know, but he's really, really good, and I've been repping that track for many years now. It's fucking amazing, man. Really, really good. I mean, it literally sounds like it could be a Dead Mouse track. Anyways, what's up, Crypto Gary and Zeno? We'll get to some shitcoin requests a little bit later. Bullish on Titcoin? Yes, everyone's bullish on Titcoin, and if you're not, then you're probably bullish on PP coin because, well, that's the opposite but equal interpretation of that. Bernoli says many have been literally telling you alt fools that they're gonna die because against Bitcoin for years. Yeah, I mean, if you've been in this market for especially more than one cycle, I think that's kind of just a logical conclusion that you come to. Of course, everyone's obsessed with this goddamn Bitcoin dominance chart, which I don't really think helps because there have been like some amazing altcoin rallies this cycle, and I personally think that you might just see this chart float up and to the right for, I mean, it might just float up and to the right for a very, very long time because, again, there is an infinite amount of shitcoins, and 99.9% of shitcoins will trend towards zero over a long period of time. So as they get added each and every day, which, thousands, probably tens of thousands are added each and every day because it's so easy to make them, Bitcoin only needs to hold its value sideways in order for Bitcoin dominance to go up versus that everlasting avalanche of shitcoin shit, just going down. So yeah. Anyways, as far as altcoins go, I mean, it's certainly an anomaly to find any altcoin that has had a general uptrend versus Bitcoin very specifically, not even versus the dollar, which would obviously be easier, but certainly versus Bitcoin for more than 2 cycles. In fact, I actually don't think that I can think of one. I know people will bring up Ethereum, but Ethereum has not actually. In fact, you can see that Ethereum made its highs over here in 2017. Yes, it did get a nice rally versus Bitcoin in 2021, but that was not new highs. So You tell me. You tell me. In fact, actually, looking at Ethereum right now, it does look like we are getting. I still think that this one does bounce more from here on the ratio. But even then, this thing could rally up 2x from where it's at right now, and it's still another lower high. Although that's a phenomenal move. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a very tradable move. But goddamn, man, just showing the death and destruction against what is considered, the second most legitimate crypto. And of course, we could expand that to what people think is now the second most legitimate crypto, which is Solana. Has Solana made new highs versus Bitcoin this cycle? No. In fact, it looks almost identical to an earlier version of that Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So when you're talking about multiple cycles, anything more than one, it's just so difficult to beat Bitcoin. It's just so fucking difficult to beat Bitcoin. And I know that people will call me a Bitcoin maxi. And look, I proudly accept that title. I've been a Bitcoin maxi, I guess, really since I came into this sector, just because the guy who brought me in was a college friend. And one of the first things that he told me, and I'm actually like super, super grateful for him that he told me this, because he actually had a good head on his shoulders. He said, look, altcoins, you can make money on them, but the only thing that's really legitimate in this space is Bitcoin, maybe to a lesser extent Ethereum. But even like near the end of sort of my relationship with him, that sounds like wrong, but just we've stopped talking after a while. He was telling me like, look, I don't even think Ethereum's legit at this point as well. But yeah, anyways, that's beyond my wheelhouse to kind of analyze the fundamentals of these things. But as far as charts go, I mean, this one speaks for itself. All of them speak for themselves. It's just too difficult to beat Bitcoin over more than one cycle. You get your first cycle, which you can rally up significantly versus that, but to make a higher high, I actually would challenge anyone, not even challenge, but I'm genuinely curious. Can you find a chart of an altcoin versus a shitcoin, a shitcoin versus a Bitcoin that has actually made new highs from cycle to cycle? If you can, I'm happy to redact my statements, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the exception to the rule, because it's almost impossible. I think Solana doesn't even work this chance hold 'em. Yeah, man. And again, like I said, I don't mind being labeled as a Bitcoin maxi. Like, it's just it is what it is. But I'm not like a 100% Bitcoin maxi. I keep on saying I'm like a 99.99999% Bitcoin maxi, which continues to add another decimal place every cycle probably. It just is what it is, man. Again, doesn't mean that you can't make a shit ton of money on shitcoins. There is opportunity there for sure, but it's if you're thinking about long-term hodls, like, of course, it's not going to be great, amazing. And sorry about that. The volume is quite loud there. Apologies on that one. Lex Sparks says Bitcoin did a 600% move in the past 4 years. Yeah, I mean, that's very, very difficult to beat. And more importantly, it holds these moves in a way that shitcoins just do not. From cycle to cycle, shitcoins have been known to certainly dump, anywhere between 90 to 99%. So yeah, man. D Webb says, just wait for next cycle. My farts will outperform Bitcoin yet again. Well, to be fair, I mean, Fartcoin is certainly outpacing Bitcoin for this cycle, I would imagine, or at least I would assume it has to be. It's been one of the best actors for this cycle. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there is a pair here for Bitcoin. Okay, that's very interesting. So I guess we got to do it the old-fashioned way. Fartcoin versus BTC like this, and can't even do it. Maybe I need to put USD in there somewhere, or USDT. Let's see. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, of course, it's beating Bitcoin this cycle, which is just the traditional shitcoin chart, right? But when it comes to next cycle, we shall see. We shall see. Does it make new highs? In fact, I think I've been saying this since fucking May, but I do think Fartcoin is putting in a major top here. I really do. It is what it is, man. Happy to be wrong about these things because I don't fucking hold them anyway, so who cares? Anyways, alts are your one-nighters. Bitcoin is the waifu material for Pesto. Another amazing comment for Pesto. Always keeping the community in alignment. And Bernoulli says, wait, hold on. I'm actually just reading that out of context. I guess a couple of people are having conversations in the YouTube comment section, which is what it's for, man. Anyways, my farts are the most lethal. My farts are like music, man. I want to, you know that movie Tropic Thunder, when they do like the beginning of the whole movie where they show the intros to other movies and they have I really want them to make that movie with Jack Black, the farties, or what is it called? The Fatties Fart 2 or something like that. It's something like this, okay? And then there's the Devil's Alley where like, what is his name? Is it Daniel Day-Lewis? No, it's the other guy. Robert something rather. He's like a gay priest or something. It's like Brokeback Mountain with priests.
Did you watch a movie about Lizzo's parts?
Would I watch a movie about Lizzo's farts? We actually watched a TV series. I think it was on HBO about Lizzo and like her dance crew or something like that. And it was like one of those reality TV shows where it's a competition, you know, and these absolute fucking massive ladies, like these ladies. Some of them were really good dancers, yeah, and I'm like super shocked that they even had the cardio to do more than one song in a row, to be honest. But for fuck's sake, man, like these were humongous people. Like holy shit, it's actually insane. It's actually insane to me that people can eat themselves into such a shape. I'm not even talking downwards to these people or looking bad at them. It's just interesting, like how is that possible? Because like I eat a shit ton of food, and even when, you know, I've let myself gain a little bit of weight, it's like how much do you actually have to eat to get to that stage? Who knows, man? It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it's Robert Downey Jr. Thank you for that, Champ Blue. It's Robert Downey Jr. He was in Devil's Alley, which was which actually looked like it would probably be a pretty funny spinoff. But the fatties fart too. Like that's the one that I really want to see. That's the one. I think Jack Black is just fucking great as an actor, man. I love watching his shit. that movie, honestly, they certainly would not be able to do it again today, but it's so fucking good. It really is, man. That's the problem with our society nowadays. We don't have any more of these amazing movies like Superbad, like Pineapple Express, like Tropic Thunder. Like, what else? Give me another one. Chat, give me another one. I need another one. I know that there's a bunch more. Step Brothers, you know, these ones, like, there's so fucking many, but I haven't seen anything like that out. In fact, I don't even know what movies come out anymore, to be honest. Bitcoin literally nuking and going to zero as we speak. Holy shit, it might be happening. Actually, today, I really wanted to start off this, when we do the Bitcoin analysis, I really wanted to start off with tempting fate because you know, my opinion for the past couple of weeks when Bitcoin got into this, you know, $105,000 territory is that you're much more likely to see a pullback from this region than not. And I feel like I'm going crazy, man. I really feel like I'm going crazy. So I was going to tempt fate today saying, guys, I've switched around to being bullish. And you know what? Bitcoin will be going to $200,000 in the next fucking monthly dildo. Yeah, Borat, Bruno, Half-Baked, White Chicks. Yeah, these are great, man. Me, Myself, and Irene. That is an old one. But yeah, American Pie. Holy shit, man. We actually just watched American Pie 2 like a couple of weeks ago. And man, the nostalgia is so crazy. I've probably seen that movie. I've probably seen that movie like at least 50 or 60 times because I would always play it like before bed when I was in college. I don't know why, but I just liked to. Yeah, man, so many fucking good ones. Don't switch to bullish, says Lux Spark. No, I'm not actually bullish here. I mean, overall, look, this is overall good here, you know, for the long term, but I just think that still it's so much more likely to get a pullback from this region. But of course, have to play both sides in this market because well, I mean, it's fucking Bitcoin. Bitcoin can do crazy things. Hot shots, yeah, hot shots. Elsa hasn't seen that one, but we just saw a no, I'm thinking of Hot Rod, yeah, that was another good one as well. American Pie 1 through 5, yeah, the first three I think were very, very good, but after that it started to be like just like I don't know, not so good anymore, especially when they lost like the main actors. Sam Fregnosi, good morning to you, man. Catch a titty before passing out. Nothing better. Hell yeah, man. The movie Old School in Road Trip and Euro Trip. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Jesus. Adam Rack says, how old are you? I don't want to give away my actual age, but I would say I'm in my mid 30s now and getting older. And you can see my beard has like progressively gotten more and more gray since like the last couple of years. Yeah, anything with Danny McBride, I think is absolutely fucking hilarious, man. I loved Eastbound and Down. That was the first season only, honestly, only the first season. After that, it went downhill like big time. The second season was okay. You know, there were it's good moments, but the first season is like top tier TV, or I guess well, whatever, like TV series, whatever the fuck you want. Freddy Got Fingered. Holy shit, man. Yeah, just crazy. Like these movies were so fucking weird and out there, and we just don't have them anymore. Blah 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 on Twitter says I'm 53 and Krown is more gray than me. I know, like it's concerning. In fact, I'm like losing my hair pretty poorly again now, so I'm actually gonna get another hair transplant pretty soon. You're gonna see fucking Orc Krown come back, which I'm very excited for. They said the people, I asked them, or the surgeons, I asked them like, hey, is that gonna happen again? They're like, yeah. You're gonna look all kinds of fucked up. Airplane, basketball, yeah, man. Semi-pro, yeah. Van Wilder, fuck, man.
Super bad.
J3F says, watch Righteous Gemstones, Krown. Yeah, man. Actually, I have seen that one. Or actually, we saw that one. It's an HBO series. Really, really good. Lex Spark says Krown fit. My fitness age actually is about 25 or 26 right now. It's actually crazy. It's because my VO2 max is so ridiculously high, but fucking hell, man, like keeping that up is really, really difficult, especially as you get deeper into your 30s. But thank God for my boxing trainer, because that guy he's a professional fighter himself, and he's like actually like very, very good. He's one of the bigger prospects in Europe right now. And he basically makes me do everything that he does, and it fucking sucks, but it works. It works. That's the thing, man. Like you can get your cardio fitness like so fucking good just by doing the really, really difficult work, but it doesn't really take any skills, honestly. Krown with the bald head and a big beard. I think Elsa would dump me at that point. It is what it is, man. Yeah, Blazing Saddles. Holy shit, man. I watched that one with my dad definitely more than a few times. We used to love those Mel Brooks movies, man. They are classics, absolutely. Human Being Ben Art of Existence. Hi from Mallorca. Do you like Spain? I haven't really been there, so I don't know. Elsa loves Spain. I mean, Finns in general love Spain because it's warm, right? And Mallorca, yeah. Anyone who goes there absolutely loves that place. But I haven't actually been to Spain, so I can't say myself. VO2 max is in your mid 30s. No, mine is about 60 actually right now. Not another teen movie. Yes, this one was actually my favorite one. That was actually my favorite one. Hoy says, Krown, I had the same amount of gray hair when I was 17. Jesus. Yeah, man. I know. I was actually going gray since I was probably about that age as well. I remember we were at a family get together one time, and my mom and her sister, or my aunt, my mom and my aunt were both like combing through my hair and be like, hey, I found a gray hair. Hey, there's another one. It's like, what the fuck? What's up, Love Woods? Good morning to you, man. The Fifth Element. We actually watched that with Elsa a little while ago. That was pretty good, right? You liked it. I liked it. That was the one with the Bruce Willis and the black guy who's funny. Yeah, that was good. That was a good one. You guys should move to New Zealand. Man, if it was easy to do so, that would actually probably be near the top of our list, to be honest with you. I think they got rid of the crazy prime minister, the lady. God, man, I think it does feel like we've kind of turned a corner with all that shit, so... Hopefully, man. All right, I think we should maybe talk about some magic internet money. How about that? How about some magic internet beans over here as Bitcoin hangs out, I mean, effectively around these all-time highs. Like I consider anything above $100,000 like all-time highs at this point. Just percentage-wise, it ain't so different. But yeah, anyways. Let me get my notes out over here, and let's actually record this one. I don't know if I'll post it on YouTube later. We'll see what actually happens during the day, but... It appears that I've actually lost my mind. I've been going crazy. Every morning I wake up and Bitcoin is higher, higher, higher. Just continues to trudge its way upwards and onwards. So you know what? Today, and today only, I switch bullish AF. Bullish as fuck is the technical term for this one. And we'll be talking about severe upside targets because Bitcoin just refuses to go down. Later on, we'll go over my real opinion, but of course, we need to tempt fate first. So I'll go over here and we'll start it off with, of course, the MetaSignal setup, which probably I should just quit my YouTube channel and just only talk about MetaSignal setups from here on out because they have been actually incredibly accurate, especially for this past couple months. But this daily setup, by the way, is still live. This one fired off at under 83,400, and obviously target number 1 and target number 2 were smashed. What seems like many moons ago. That was 87,200 and 95,000 bucks respectively. Now target number 3, which is fair, to be fair, like quite a low probability, around about 20%, is 110,350 bucks. So if Bitcoin does get another growth splurt over here, I guess that's the area that I'd be looking for. Again, it is a low probability thing, and this move has been very, very extreme, as we'll go over a little bit later. But hey, extreme moves can get more extreme, I do suppose, before it's all said and done. Of course, on top of that, when we go over to the daily HPDR, it's not so crazy now to be talking about 110 to 112,000. So if Bitcoin does continue, which I have, again, my own reservations and opinion, at least against in the short term, but If it does, I suppose that's the obvious area to be looking at, which is effectively 110 to 112, that being the top side of the 38.2 level and the 50% level. Now let's get into why I think I'm probably losing my mind, and it's very, very possible that I am, and that is a combination of things. So I'm going to start off with something that we have not spoken about at all once on this channel, just something that I was actually looking at this morning, but I do think can kind of put a like a number on, or like a gauge on how extreme this current move has been. Basically a straight up move since the April lows at about $74,000 to over $107,000, which has been more or less unabated with any sort of like major pullback in between. Yes, there has been consolidations, but it doesn't even show up really on a weekly time frame. In fact, it doesn't really show up at all on a weekly time frame, to be fair. So the one of the reasons that I want to bring up right here is the daily time frame. Looking at the stochastic momentum oscillator, we've seen it now in the critical zone for a crazy amount of time. If we were to measure it out so far, and keeping in mind, like it's not going to come down below on this next closure anyway, so this will extend even more. But so far there have been 31 bars or 31 days that it has existed within the critical zone. This is, as we'll be going over soon, not seen very often, let's say. So I'll bring you through the past iterations where we have seen, extended moves above that critical zone for the daily stochastic oscillator with these settings very specifically. And I think you'll kind of get it very, very quickly. But the last time that we saw it in this critical zone for, a decent amount of time was during the November rally, when Bitcoin broke out initially off of the Trump, not Trump inauguration, but Trump victory for the presidency. It spent 17 days. Okay, 17 days. Like, that's a lot, yes, but not 31. The time before that was September rally, when Bitcoin went up from whatever the September low, I think it was like 55 or something. It went straight up, from there for a little bit of time. Spent 14 days, 2 weeks within the critical zone. The time before that was, of course, in July of 2024. Same thing, similar thing. 12 days spent in the critical zone. The time before that was, extensive, was over here. And this one, you could argue, was actually only 24 days. This was the initial breakout from I believe the announcement of the, what's it called? The Bitcoin ETF. That was, in January/February of 2024. So this whole move right here, you can see that, yes, it did dip below and close below the critical zone for just one little period and then continue to lift upwards and onwards. So if we do bifurcate these, then it would be 24 days and then 18 days respectively. Realistically, there was a pullback right here. There was a consolidation, did kind of come down a little bit, but effectively that was one major massive move. So I would actually include all of this. And even then it would be about 44 days. So this is the only time that I'm actually able to find on these charts that's even longer than what we currently have at 31 days. And again, that's not going to stop today. It's not going to stop tomorrow. This is going to take like at least another 3 periods if it's going to come down below that critical zone on this current move. But before that, 10 bars or 10 days, 15 bars over here, 12 bars over here, 11 bars over here, 25 bars over here. Again, this was this mega fucking massive move where Bitcoin went all the way from $17,000 to ending it at 23 or $25,000. Like, big fucking moves. But even these are not really in the same category of this current move or the severity of this current move that we're currently witnessing. The prior all-time high from the past cycle was 18 bars. This mega rally that we saw from the summer bull trap in 2021, summer bear trap in 2021 was 29 days. Again, this was a massive fucking move. Bitcoin went from, $35,000 to what, 50,000 plus. I mean, big, like fucking big. Same thing over here, 17 days on this big move, 25 days on this prior breakout from all-time highs from the 2018 cycle. Bitcoin during this period went from 21,000 all the way up to 40,000 plus. We did see a really extended time over here, which is probably comparable to what we're looking at right now. In fact, it even looks quite similar in some ways, so maybe this could be a good guide. But this move here was 38 bars in the critical zone as Bitcoin was kind of grinding up around those prior 2017 highs at $20,000, and this one did essentially culminate in that move all the way to $20,000. So that was a pretty significant move, about 50%, which is actually about the move that we've seen thus far for Bitcoin. And going back further than that, I don't even think is going to be helpful because I was unable to find anything that was really that much comparable to what we have going on right now. Even during the 2017 bull market, which I think is probably the most recent and reasonable one to compare to, would be 31 days. And that was literally on the high, which we are on 31 days right now. And it's not even turning down at the current moment. It actually won't turn down officially unless today closes below 105,350. And like I said, even then, it's not going to come below on the next closure, probably even 2 closures below the critical zone. So we could effectively say this one's going to be at least like 33 to 34 days, like assuming that this current rally has found a high, which feels like I'm tempting fate to even suggest that right now. On top of that, I do want to once again go back to this chart, the Fibonacci time extension chart, which we have been looking at for governing major pivot points on price action throughout this current cycle. It is it is anchored from the prior cycle high to the current cycle low, and you can see that it's been pretty consistent in getting the right timing around the highs and major lows for this cycle. We can see obviously in 2023 it was very, very accurate right here. It's not like perfect, by the way, of course, can have a few bars margin of error, but that's okay. But you see right here, both highs. This one over here did lead into a nice sideways consolidation, the first major consolidation after the big breakout as well. This one over here, a local low. This one over here, a local high on the bar, to be fair as well. This one over here, 1 bar later than the high. And then we have yet another one of these dates of interest, which just actually happened on the past 5-day bar. So that does tell me, again, if this is anything to trust, that, it's probably a better time to be a little bit more on the cautious side rather than looking for like a big bad breakout right here, because typically the way that this has worked is that whatever direction Bitcoin was approaching that date of interest was effectively a counter move that was incoming right after it. So, again, this move has been straight up since April. So if that relationship still holds true, this would still theoretically be around about the right place to be looking for, potential pullback. On top of that, I do want to also bring up that on the 5-day time frame, we're going to be closing another 5-day dildo today, and the 5-day time frame is seeing stochastic momentum get up into the critical level, which you do expect during a move like this. But the current pivot is actually it's not that close to current price action, but it has been moving up significantly from closure to closure. If you recall from last week on the last period, it was somewhere around like the upper 80s, I believe. Now it is 96,650. It's going to update again, by the way, tonight. So I imagine this is going to move up to, maybe 98, 99, 100,000 bucks, something like this. So if we do start to see all of the higher term time from stochastic momentum oscillators really start to work together, again, I think that bodes well for if I have to bet on a direction, it has to be to the downside. That's just me. Again, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. And look, if Bitcoin bulldozes its way to new all-time highs, it would feel foolish, of course. But at the end of the day, look, I'm not trading that. I'm not taking shorts based off of this. I'm just, and I still hold my Bitcoin no matter what. That's the game that I play right now as I switch into more of a long-term investor. But my main thing right now is just in the short term, I would be a little more cautious than not, just based off of this history. And of course, if the daily turns down below 105,350 tonight, and the 2-day also follows through, which also closed tonight, the pivot is, by the way, much higher at 107 almost. The 3-day time frame will also close tomorrow, not tonight, but tomorrow, and that one's pivoted at 105,600. And then the 5-day, if all these things start to move in the same direction, I would feel a lot more confident about a deeper pullback. Not necessarily like full on bearish or anything like that, like Bitcoin coming back down below these April lows. I still don't think that that's happening anytime soon. I think it's more likely to make new all-time highs before taking out this low over here. But, Bitcoin could get a major pullback back to the midpoint of the range, and that would be significant and perhaps relevant to a lot of people out there. So just something to consider. And then, of course, all of the bearish divergences that we spoke about in yesterday's video, while they were not confirmed because Bitcoin did not close below Sunday's low, it did trade below Sunday's low, but did not close below Sunday's low. These are still present there, but the same condition essentially applies, meaning that we need to see a closure below Sunday's low, or I do think if it just trades below yesterday's low, that's probably going to be good enough as well. Looking at our daily RSI right here, we can see, that bearish divergence is still going to be a potential if Bitcoin confirms that as a local high. It is not just yet, so it's just a potential. The 2-day time frame, same thing. Lower highs on RSI with higher highs on price action, but would need to come below basically yesterday's low in order to confirm that, and that's not happening today. This would be like a tomorrow or Thursday type thing. The 3-day time frame does not have bearish divergence to be fair. Although if it actually does confirm a local high here, you will have divergence from these past highs in December and January. But I wouldn't be looking for that again as like a death sentence or anything like this, but a good pullback signal if it does fire off. So it's still there. It's still a potential, but these things have not been confirmed, at least on these time frames. So ultimately, it's still a game of waiting and seeing, at least as far as I see things. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, we went over if Bitcoin does continue, which is always possible, of course. I guess 110 to 112 is where I'd be looking towards. By the way, you can actually get these setups for free in MetaSignal's Discord, and they're also offering a really reduced rate to try out their service. I think it's like $9 for a short amount of time instead of like the full price, obviously. And you can find more information about that in the link description below for MetaSignals. But yeah, looks and sounds a little bit crazy to me, but hey, at the end of the day, it is Bitcoin, I suppose. So we'll end things on that note. As always, I want to wish everyone the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow. Nice one. All right, I'm going to take a few sips of this water, and then we'll get into some. Then we shall get into the Bitcoins analysis. I wish I had the confidence of an arrogant YouTube poster like Karim. Every influencer and their mom are calling for short pullback, but it makes no sense. There are several technical reasons to be looking for a pullback. I mean, shit, even the most basic of TA looking at this as retesting a prior all-time high, the price action traders can be looking at that and be like, all right, I should be looking for a pullback. There's plenty of reasons to be doing it. It doesn't mean it's always going to happen. When we're talking about technical analysis, when we're talking about technical indicators, nothing is a 100% certainty ever in any way whatsoever. But you do have a higher probability of trading in one direction compared to another. That's what we're looking for. That means that it's, again, not going to be correct every fucking time. And I just do not understand how lobotomized fucking morons do not get this. Learn probabilities. Life is not black and white. You cannot live your life like that because you will be wrong at some point. And at that point, you'll have no model of what to deal with when you're wrong, because 99.9999999% probability is still not fucking 100. Jesus fucking Christ. But my mom's also bearish, so yeah, we need to pull this back. All right. Anyways, let's see. Trey Flip Jones says, guys, Bolo's over. I'm not. We're going from one extreme to the next. I don't know if I'd say that, but I guess anything's possible, right? But it's not my first. My first major call, I would say. But yeah, anyways, we'll get into some shitcoin analysis over here. I see Mr. Steven Schickman is first as always. He's looking at doggy, daily, weekly, monthly, all of them higher term timeframes. Let's see what it's looking like. Monthly, similar to Ethereum, as long as monthly stochastic also is to the downside, like I'd be wary of any rally getting like real continuation. That is currently pivoted at 35 cents. Doggy already hit our 25-cent target, by the way, this past week on Sunday. So that was a big one that we've been having on this channel for, even a pity bounce. I'm going across time frames, and it's like doggy here. I do think it could easily pull back alongside the rest of the market. Okay, maybe not like that. It's probably a little bit too deep, but I don't think it's going to be taking out the April lows. I don't think that most of these stronger things will not be trading below their April lows. Obviously, like the super shit coins, they will crush. They probably already crushed their April lows anyways. But can they pull back, put in a higher low, and then try another move higher? I think that's how it would likely look like, off of a higher low. And at that point, yeah, likely looking at about 30 to 32 cents I would guesstimate. And at that point, you got the monthly moving back up as well. So, this thing could actually begin its next like major cycle move if that did happen. But for right now, I'd probably look at this one a little bit more cautious, looking for it to set in a base somewhere around here, get that higher low, and then try a little bit higher, wherever the 200 simple is, which I suspect will get, to about 30 cents in the coming weeks, by about mid to early June, it should get around there. So that'd be another like obvious target if this one does continue. But Yeah. Higher term timeframes on this one, kind of split. So other than that, I don't really have much to say about it. My main opinion is that like most of the strong coins, probably not going to be taking out these April lows before trying to move higher, but you can get a decent pullback here and then move higher. Which I think would generally be more healthy over the long term, just for this market in general. And we were kind of talking about this in Discord a little bit earlier today. If Bitcoin does pull back here, and I mean, maybe does something like this, I don't know necessarily if it has to get like this low, but if it plays out like a decent pullback here, in my mind, in my opinion, that means that this cycle is going to go on for longer and that the targets get higher rather than what I'm currently thinking. So yeah, more time spent going sideways typically equates to a bigger, massive, explosive move. I mean, shit, look at last year. This was 7 months going sideways and then just fucking tremendous move right after that. Going up, like 50, 60%, something like that at least. Anyways, CMAO says, doggy BTC, new highs every cycle. Does it? Let's see. No, it does not, sir. It did make a higher high from the 2014 cycle to the 2021 cycle, but from 2014 to 2017 did not. So it just made like one major explosive move right here and then, yeah, down. So it has made a higher high compared to one of this, or actually both of these cycles right here, but I don't know how much to trust that, to be honest with you. But I mean, to be fair, as far as shitcoins go, like this is this is probably the most established one, or among the most established ones, right? So yeah, thank you for pointing that one out. But I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with you, because I don't know, this looks like a one-off to me rather than a trend. As a trend continues to kind of go down, at least versus Bitcoin. Mike Mad says, what was that ASMR crunch during the intro? That was me forgetting to turn off my mic and crunching my iced Americano ice cubes. The William says, I wish a alt season would start. Many such people, many such cases across the world. There has been an alt season. There was an alt season. AI, memes, these things went to the moon and beyond. FN Dollars says, can you please check out SPY futures on the 1 and 4 hour? Also, what indicator do you rely more on, advanced stochastic, Joule, or which one is your go-to for momentum? It depends what I'm trying to do, man. Like the stochastic momentum is usually going to speak towards more shorter term moves in comparison to the Joule. The RSI is going to be a little bit more on the higher end of that. And then the MACD will be even higher than all of those combined. Sorry, not all of them combined, but it's going to be higher than all of them in terms of like the power of it and what it relates to in terms of price. But it's not really what I rely on more. It's what purpose I'm looking at, basically. So yeah, anyways, to the point, you're looking at SPY futures here. You're looking at an hourly time frame as well, and then a 4 hour. Make sure to do a daily first. Is this one, again, retesting a prior major breakdown region right here. It's a good pullback area. It's a very good pullback area. But just like Bitcoin, on a pullback, I'm not like bearish looking for this thing to make new lows, or certainly at least not on the first move. But if it comes back down to like 5,700, or even if it came all the way down to like 5,500, I mean, that's still a higher low. That still sets it up for higher later on. I do think sometime between the end of this month and probably more likely to happen in June, to be fair, you will see another test closer to that red 5 EMA, and that's around 5,800, or a little bit above 5,800. So I do think at some point you get a pullback around there for the reconnect, regardless of whether you're super bullish or super bearish. I think that's a very high probability move you'll see. So yeah, if it came back around here and filled this gap, I mean, that'd be fine, and that'd still be another higher low. So yeah, if I had to call it in the hourly and the 4 hour with that in mind, just a greater picture. I mean, the hourly and the 4 hour still are in an uptrend as well. So, it's probably not like super wise to be getting bearish here, but I do think you're likely seeing more signals of a short-term pullback here than anything else. When I go, in fact, for this, I actually don't really like the stochastic oscillator for traditional markets. What I like, if I'm going to use any sort of indicator, is going to be or momentum oscillator, I should say, is going to be the RSI or the MACDs. And we can see significant drives of 4 hour bearish divergence here. So again, if I have to bet on a direction, it's probably going to be a bit of a downside move, but like, not the same thing as being like full on fucking bearish. Again, really not the same thing as being full on fucking bearish, but it can afford a pullback, put in a higher low. Again, that helps the, the more long-term upside, generally speaking. Fucking buy the dip. What's up, man? Chainlink 4 hour and daily or short-term, long-term? I will pin your message if you post your message, maybe. Let's see. Okay. Super chats get priority. No spamming, please. Or bonkety bonk. That's your warning from Elsa right there. And then you'll also get a paragraph long reprimanding from Mr. Craig of the Discord as well. All right. Do it again then. All right. Link. Let's start off high and then we'll finish low. Shit, this one actually does kind of look like it wants to bust up from here, but overall, I do think that this one is going to try higher than where it's currently at, probably back around the May highs, I'd imagine. Short term, price action pivots does essentially say what I would, what I think is correct as far as the range goes. Your range is between 16.5 to the upside versus about just under 15 to the downside, basically the last 2 days, high and low. If this one does close above that Sunday high, I think you got a clear shot to about whatever your May highs were, so close to $18. Maybe it even just breaks out from there. I mean, this is a nice little uptrend here as well on the daily. If we go down to a lower term time frame as you asked for, let's see, is there anything of concerning? No, I mean, this one actually looks like it if anything, looks like it actually wants to take off from here. It'd be this one. So yeah, I'd kind of be having a bullish bias on this one as long as you're above basically yesterday's low. And of course, confirming back above Sunday's high. I think you get a nice run towards 18 and, there's going to be pullbacks along the way, but I think it generally continues from there based off of the higher term timeframes like the monthly and the quarterly. Anyways, I will pin Elsa's message. Did we do it? I did it. Okay, nice one. All right, cool. Dr. Checkmate says RPT. RPT. Is this a stonk or a crypto? I'm guessing it's an actual stonk. Oh, you did say stonk. Okay, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Daily and 3 day. All right, got it. Wait, what the fuck happened? Hold on. Jesus Christ, what the hell happened over here? It broke the indicators. I mean, if you're going to play something like this, man, you're basically bottom fishing. You're probably going to get like a nice bounce at some point, but it's almost as if you're like treating this like a shit coin that, makes new lows. And you're like, well, it's got to rally at some point, right? I think stuff like this is extremely risky because if you're playing a bounce here, you're playing what the real game that you're playing is. Like you're hoping and praying on some sort of like news or some shit like this, something that's unpredictable. Basically, if you're going off of tentacles, if you're going off a trend down as a direction, with really no end in sight. I mean, like this thing has really been going down ever since its inception in 1989. So that's a 35-year history of just going down. So this is nothing out of the ordinary here to see it go down even more. Just I guess the speed at which it's going down now is increasing. But yeah, anyways, if it does get a bounce, your obvious target's going to be like $5 ish. So nearly a 2x from where you're at right now. But that's a fucking difficult game to play, man. You're better off betting on more long-term down direction. If it does bounce to $5, great. But in my opinion, the trend is your friend. And well, if you're long this thing, it's not really the best friend. Let's see. Willis says TSLL on NASDAQ. Hey, nice. Some stonks today. I like it. Let's see. Okay, so this is what exactly is this thing? Tesla bull to Jesus. oh Jesus. Kind of caught at a usual level that you'd be looking for on a bit of a pullback as well. There's a very slight amount of bearish divergence on the daily RSI. You're right below the 200 simple. So, if you do pull back from a region like this, it's not unexpected. And if it does pull back, where would I be looking towards? $12, and should be a bounce there. Other than that, I actually think it's okay. It's just, if you pull back a little bit, I'll just be looking for higher lows, man. Other than that, I think it's okay. And I do think that you will trade north of, $20 at some point in time. I mean, this can take a while, right? Like I'm looking at a quarterly right here. So, I mean, theoretically that'd be like after June at the earliest, where a move like that becomes, more reasonable or more logical to expect. But for right now, it's had a pretty good move. I'd be looking for it to go a little bit sideways, a little bit downside, but I'd just be looking for higher lows here, man. Hopefully that was helpful. Joel Smith says, your opinion on Bitcoin on the Krown VMP on the 2-week time frame prees. Let's see. Okay, I've actually been working on a new indicator recently, but I will bring up the VMP for this. I'm still on Tesla 2X. What is my opinion on this? I'm not seeing anything that's super. The obvious thing is that it's once again turning up. It actually doesn't have the cyan color, which kind of confirms the upside direction. But if anything, I mean, it's telling you what you already know. Like, it actually bullish. By the way, I do want to acknowledge the immense amount of divergence between the March 2024 highs and the December 2024 highs, or January highs, basically. So, if it did rally up here, I'd probably be looking for another lower high, aka a third drive of divergence, somewhere around 70%. That'd probably do it for me. So yeah, if it does continue from here, I mean, that obviously looks quite good. But other than that, there's not really much to say about it. Kind of telling you what you already know, at least through other indicators. So yeah, this is the indicator that I've been working on over here. It's going to take a bit of a different role, but you can see there are some similarities, a little bit of similarities there, but it's going to be taking on a bit of a different role. So yeah. Anyways, we have interesting, by the way, on the 2-week time frame. I just found out recently that the 2-week time frame is one of the more highly respected time frames for a lot of people. Actually, a lot of more long-term investors, they seem to really, really like the 14-day period, basically. D-Jug says Portal USD mid to long term. Sure. Portal, okay, definitely a shitcoin. Let's see what, can't say that I've ever seen this one before, but it does what most shitcoins do, which is go down. And it seems to me like the trend has been a friend towards bears since the inception of this thing. And it's always be best to be betting on the next lower high on this thing. And I think you probably just got another one right there on Sunday's move. I think that this thing's more likely to come back down to this 5-cent low that you saw from the 15th of May and probably just make new lows from there as well. I mean, do I think that this is going to reverse from here? Probably not. Probably not good to be betting on something like this. I don't even trust indicators on something like this. It's just trend, man. It's just trend. Heavily bearish as long as you're especially below the April of 2025 high. If you can move back above there, maybe get another one of these, one-off pumps. Maybe goes back to like 16 to 20 cents if that happens, but that would just be a better place to sell if not for anything else. Yeah, there is no long-term the long-term for this is just more and more down, but do you get these one-off pumps here and there? Sure. I mean, it does happen, yes, but good luck playing that game. Again, it's kind of what we spoke about before with that shitcoin stock. It's like you're playing a game where you don't really have an edge. Like, it can go down a lot more before that next pumpola, than perhaps you might consider. Anyways, Digital K says, your thoughts on Aave for daily weekly? Oh, baby, we got a 2020 shitcoin popping up here. This one was one of the beloved tokens from the last cycle. And how has it done this cycle? Well, no new highs. Didn't make new lows though, so there is that. And a really nice move here, to be fair, on this weekly, like very, very nice move. Maybe it even does spike a little bit higher towards like 280 or so, but generally I think you're probably going to be looking at a pullback after an extension to like 280. But very powerful move right here, no doubt about that. And I actually do think that it will extend before you get a pullback. So 280-ish region, give or take a few bucks from that number. See what the monthly looks like. Again, monthly overall good. But I do think sometime in June, you will see a pullback to like 240, give or take a little bit from that number. Other than that, I don't really have strong opinions on this thing. I think I'll leave that right there. Lenny says, hello, sir. What do you think the best pairs are now for trading USDT or USDC? USDT still has more liquidity, but USDC will very likely become the best pair to be trading, because I think that USDC is positioned to be, the legitimate stablecoin, right? It's an American company at Circle. They are, I believe, positioning in the background with several different firms and several different regulation agencies in America to be sort of like the stablecoin of choice. So I think naturally over time USDC will overtake USDT, but that time I don't think has come just yet. But it is coming, or it's coming. I'm coming as well. I do think that it's just a matter of time before that happens, because it has been gaining market share. But yeah, Tether is still going to be the best because, keep in mind, like the rest of the world who's not in the US, they're going to prefer Tether over USDC just because, well, obvious reasons, I guess. Anyways, I'll get on to some of the comments over here. Any Caspa derps on the daily, sir? Octo says, great question. I don't know. Let's see. Wait, I just typed in Octo. Caspa. Yeah. I remember this one. Yeah, we called a high on this one way back on over in December. I still think that this one's put in a high for this cycle. And this is a beautiful place for another lower high, to be honest, on a weekly. But we really do see kind of a bifurcated market from today. Some of the shitcoins just look very obviously bearish, and some of them actually look like they do want more on these rallies. If this one does continue to new highs on this rally, I think your next obvious target is going to be around like 15, 16 cents. But and I do think that you will get a short-term rally here. Probably back up to the highs that you saw from, what was this, last week? Yeah, like 13, 14 cents. If it does continue to a new high, I'd be looking, like I said, somewhere around 15, 16. These are big percentage moves here, to be fair. But when I zoom out to the higher term timeframes, I really don't think it's going to be getting much higher than that, to be honest with you. If it does get higher than 16 cents, then something else is completely new going on. And I mean, shit, at that point, you might as well send it back to the prior all-time highs. But I do think that that's a lot less likely to be happening here. Like I said, this is a beautiful place from a technical perspective to be looking for another lower high. Even on the 5-day time frame, you already see hidden bearish evidence going all the way back to November of last year. So November of last year, just to put things into perspective, it was trading at 16, 17 cents. Yeah, to me, this looks like a major bull trap. After the first major move down, you get your first big bounce over here. Everyone's like, holy shit, the dark times are over. I am going to be rich. You better stop talk. You talk to your boss and you say, fuck you, sir. I'm leaving. My Caspa coins make me rich now. Fuck you. Anyways, yes. A lot of people asking about the 30-year and the 10-year Treasury bonds. I have zero idea on this sort of stuff because it takes like a professional like bond trader to really look at shit like this. I can look at it. I mean, and I can give. And to be fair, like when I have been looking at it, despite saying that, it actually has been doing essentially what we've been suggesting from a technical perspective, which is going up. But I think that that's probably just luck in this case because these things trade differently. They really do. If I had to call it, I'd say, look, you got a higher low right here. It's going up. It's going up to, probably 475 to maybe even 5 again on the 10-year, and probably 30-year goes up too. But yeah, I wouldn't trust that, or at least I wouldn't trust my opinion on this like at all. Just to be 100% clear. I want my link coins to tell my boss to suck it. Suck my link, sir. I have a friend who's a Caspa maxi. Yeah, man, there's many such cases of, people get addicted to all sorts of shit, right? I mean, shit, man, like there used to be this great TV show where it was just like weird addictions, and people get addicted to drinking like fucking detergent for your laundry. So it's really no surprise that some people get addicted to, falling in love with their shitcoins. Krown, can I ask your advice on the best hair trimmer for my balls? Well, you can always use tweezers. That's going to be the most effective, but also very painful. There used to be some sort of advertisement on TV or YouTube that I'd see where Manscaped or some shit like that, where you could actually shave your nutsack with it. I actually do it with my beard trimmer, but it's a gamble every time, man. Sometimes you miss, and then your sack starts bleeding. It's not catastrophic, by the way, but it is a little bit alarming the first time you see it. Krown, are you an abortion from anal sex? No problem. Let me do your shitcoin request, sir. Brett. I guess that's his attempt at being funny, but fair enough. We'll look at your favorite shitcoin, sir. Where's my Brett tokens? This one was also very popular last year when the memes were popular, and well, it might be surprising to some, but but it appears to have gone down and never really recovered. Yeah, I mean, this is what you can expect from most shitcoins, man. Another one where I'd say this one, if this one puts in a local high here, it'd be very obvious in hindsight. There's not really enough history to be looking at to populate like decent technicals, but it has gotten this rally, which was a very impressive rally in the past week. But it just retested this prior major breakdown region. So, it's very common to pull back from these regions or put in a lower high, in this case, a local high, which would be a lower high. In the short term, does it get one more try towards these highs at like 8.5 cents? Possible, yeah. But, long term, the trend is your friend. And this one has a long-term downtrend, at least for the history that we can see here. So, I think best case scenario on a rally, you maybe get a little bit above 10 cents, like 11 or 12. But I think that is certainly a lot more hopium than anything else. So, yeah. What's better than I am, says Rocket Companies, RKT monthly and year. Okay, this must be a stonk. Yeah, it is. All right, nice. Appropriately named. I can only guess what they do, but you're looking at a monthly and a yearly. Okay. I don't think a yearly is going to work on this. It's only been around since 2020, man, but even a monthly barely populates. So I think these timeframes are a little bit too high for looking at something like this. To be honest with you, maybe a weekly is a little bit more appropriate. At this point, yeah, you got some bullish divergence coming off this last low, still holding on valiantly to that 200 simple, but theoretically you should be actually trading this one bearish as long as you're below $16, just because this is a weekly downtrend. But if it's going to reverse from any place, I guess this would be it. I don't know, man. I feel like I need more history on this one to really give it a more accurate judgment. Yeah, I should say I don't really have strong opinions on this one, to be honest with you, man. Trades very weirdly. I'm about to sneeze. Hawk 2. That's what it sounds like. Titcoin, please. Is this a real thing? It is. It is, of course. Why do I ask? Of course it is. Probably one of the better shitcoins to be holding right now, to be honest. It doesn't have the catastrophic history that most of them have. If it was around like a year ago, it probably would look something closer to Brett, but that's actually a positive right now that it doesn't, because that means you have less overhead supply and hang to kind of chew through. Hidden bullish divergence on this last local low. I think that this one actually tries a little bit higher, maybe around 6 to 7 cents. And, if any sort of shitcoin is going to be trying for new highs, it'd be something like this. But other than that, it's way too new for me to do like a real analysis on it. Yeah, it's way too new here, because these things can pump and dump literally out of nowhere. So, it's a total guessing game as far as I'm concerned. I'll tell you the obvious thing. It's not going to be very helpful, but if you trade below last Saturday's low at 3.5 cents, then I'd be looking for this thing to come back down to your April lows, probably even lower than that over time. But yeah, it's really not going off on much here. What's up, Crypto Clown World? Titcoin is bouncing hard. Yes, we need more bouncy Titcoins. Bitrod says, Krown, do you think Pengu will hit 3 cents before the end of June? I don't know. Let's check it out. I think we've looked at this a few times on these streams over the past over the past like few weeks. Is it going to hit 3 cents before end of June? So that would put it on, that would effectively unravel the mega breakdown that it had from January of this year. I would say that that's very unlikely. I do think if you get an extension of this rally, which I think is already like a major assumption, which I actually do not think will happen. I don't think that it's going to trade higher than Tuesday's high. But if it does, I'd be looking at most just above 2 cents, not 3 cents. 3 cents is very, very far away and would imply like a real macro reversal. Again, these things aren't impossible, but I'm just not going to bet on that personally myself when one, it is presumably a shitcoin, or a meme coin, I should say, and two, it does shit like this. Juice, hey, what's up, Juice? We'll do Palantir. Yeah, let's look at Palantir. I always love looking at Palantir because I hold this one. Where is my Palantir? There we go. Getting a little bit of a pullback after new all-time highs. But I don't know. I look at the monthly, man, and it's a crazy chart, man. It really is. It's an absolutely crazy chart, and you do have divergences building up, but. Okay, I'll tell you what I want to happen, then what I think will happen. I actually want this thing to come down to like 95 or 85 region because I'd like to pick up more, and I refuse to buy over here. And I do think that it probably does, dump back down a little bit towards 116, but that's far and away from the areas that I'd personally want to put more into long-term investments. But right now you have a nice uptrend. Does it come down to like 116 and a half in the short term? I believe that's what we said last week. I still think the same thing here. I think it's coming somewhere down around there, 116 and a half to 117, but it's an uptrend, man. So I'd be looking for it to bounce and, maybe continue on with this fucking epic rally, I guess. True question. Are you pussy or balls, sir? Yes, this was the main question that I received as a 17-year-old relentlessly playing World of Warcraft and meeting some fucking European weirdo who we would quest together with. Okay, we do quest together, and he would always say to me, Krown, because my name in the game was Krown, are you pussy or are you balls? And then he'd like go in charge into some shit and do a Leroy Jenkins type move. Oh, I realized I missed a request over here for Leanne M. She is out, I presume it's a she. She's asking for SMH stonk. Thank you for specifying it is indeed a stonk. Semiconductors over here on NAS, and no time frames. Oh, no, day, month, year. Okay. We can actually do a yearly here because this one's been around since 2000. All right. Not often you get to be able to do that. I mean, very, very powerful chart, of course. Very fucking powerful chart. Are the highs in? I don't think so, actually. I think that this one will make new highs. In fact, I would say that this thing is unlikely to even trade below those April lows anytime soon. You have hidden bullish divergence coming off of those lows as well. So, I think that this current run even extends back up towards, maybe your January highs, 265 to 270-ish region. I mean, at that point, you might get short-term pullbacks and shit like that, but I think that this thing is poised to probably make new highs this year. How high does it go? Who the fuck knows? There's no way to guess that. But generally, the trend is your friend, and the trend is the friend to the boo laws here for sure. So yeah, we just literally looked at Titcoin, Mr. Creative. Dr. Checkmate says SRPT, stonk, not RPT. Got it. SRPT. Okay. Can't speak. Breakdown, and a real breakdown, I do believe. Yeah, I think that this one's heading down a little bit lower before you get your first pity bounce. Maybe like somewhere between 28 to holy shit, what the fuck? This is on a regular scale. What the fuck? That does not sound right. On the monthly, I do think that it heads down a little bit further before you get your first pity bounce, like 28 to 15. What? That doesn't sound right. It's too big of a range. In the short term, you do have some bullish divergence building up on the weekly, so there's probably a bounce in between there, but I don't think it's going to be the reversal bounce or anything like this, because this really does look like a legitimate breakdown. The only way I'd change my mind on this one and be, I guess, bullish is probably not the right word, but just not super bearish, is if it reclaims the 200 simple by end of month, and that's actually just above $60. So it needs like an 80% move to get that, something like that. always possible, but I do think it's less probable, let's say. So yeah, man, I could easily see this thing bouncing up to like 44, 45 bucks and then continuing down. But, you are seeing extremes here on weekly BBWP, and you are seeing, like I said, some bullish divergence building. So it could easily bounce up, 44 to maybe even as much as 48. But that still doesn't get you back above 60. So still a long ways away. Biff the Bear says, so no 200,000 Bitcoins this cycle? I thought BlackRock was the good guys. Oh God, there's so many things wrong with this statement. What? How does BlackRock have, people think that because BlackRock has a Bitcoin ETF, which by the way, like this is the biggest misconception with all of this BlackRock fucking retardedness. Sorry, I'll say the R word straight up. It's BlackRock retardedness because some people have like Trump derangement syndrome for BlackRock or just basically anything, any sort of major institution. BlackRock holds assets on behalf of their customers, sir. It's custodian. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, is there 200,000 for Bitcoin this cycle? I mean, in that case, like, I'd probably agree with you, man. I have a really hard time seeing Bitcoin get up that high, or really, to be honest, anywhere near that high without like major corrections in between. But also, I think your bear markets are going to look a lot different on this asset as well. I think because Bitcoin has so many ETFs now and it trades like an ETF, you're not going to see these parabolic moves. You're going to see like 50% up, then 30% range, followed by another 40 or 50% up, followed by another like 20, 30, 40% range, something like that, man. And we're not going to like see these mega massive drawdowns into bear markets. But it will trade sideways for a much longer period than what most people are thinking for. But, they would be really painful, I think, for a lot of people to see Bitcoin basically trade sideways for most of the year. I mean, basically what Bitcoin did in 2024, big move up, but then spent almost all of the year trading sideways, and then moving up again, something like that. And that basically is your bear market. But, OGs of Bitcoin won't recognize that as a bear market because it doesn't go down 70, 80, 90%. So yeah. Hey, what? Lenny says, hopiest hopium for XRP. Okay, so you want the hopium goggles on. All right, I'm putting on the hopium goggles. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm putting on the hopium goggles here. Even my hopium goggles are not going to save this one right now. But look, if it can close above basically 260, at that point, I'd be, I guess, mega bull for new all-time highs. Not in the same fucking dildo, but, generally just moving its way towards there. But, I look at this and at best it's a range, or not at best it's a range. It is a range, quite literally. 260 to the upside versus 185 to the downside. You just tested the top side of the range. After a test of the top side of the range and a rejection, you typically come to the midpoint of the range. And so where would that be? Well, let's see. That would be, excuse me, 2.25. I guess look for a higher low there first, or at least a bounce attempt. But if you start to lose about 2.25, 220-ish region, then, probably back down to $2 and continues with this sideways range. Like I said, though, if it does trade above 260 and especially close this month above there, or even 270 especially, you're going to hear me be like a massive bull in XRP calling for, new all-time highs. But until that happens, man, I think, I do think that this one's more or less range. I mean, it is quite literally range bound right here, so it's not like super helpful, but it's just not that interesting. It's not in a position of power right now. So the hopium is that first you actually close above, that May high. Okay, at that point, yeah, full on hopium, like new all-time highs, shit like this, becomes the most likely thing to be happening. Crypto Shark says, joining late, I'm gay. Did you already do PP daily? Shit, I need to go soon, actually. Looking for something that's obvious here. Like very, very short term, it's a range, yes, but if it comes back down to whatever this low is here, I'd actually be looking for it to bounce more than anything else. I'm really not seeing anything that's super obvious. I guess the obvious thing calling for like a real breakout would be a daily closure above this number in green, basically 15,000, whatever the fuck's. At that point, I'd be looking for this thing to come back up towards your January, little high right here. And then maybe just continue on with the trend. I mean, this thing, it does actually have an uptrend compared to, or it literally has an uptrend, in which most shitcoins do not. But for right now, I don't know, calling a direction right here, it seems very difficult. I don't have an opinion, man. My opinion is on break these highs at 15,000. Okay, big move to the upside. Follows from that. But until then, I guess I'd be looking for a sideways range and, short term, another try towards this low, but I don't necessarily think it's going to break that just yet, unless a Bitcoin breaks its own low as well. Kay says Superverse, please. Yeah, I got Super right here. 78 cents. I almost said 278. It's definitely not 278. Again, looking for something obvious, right? The obvious thing is trading back above. I still think it will get to about $1 at least before all is said and done. In the short term, does it pop back down towards this low? Maybe. It's kind of similar to the last chart that we just looked at, actually. You do have a downtrend on pretty much all time frames, all of the medium and lower term time frames, but the higher term time frames are actually in an uptrend still. So this one also kind of being difficult. The obvious thing here is if you can trade and especially close above last week's high, I don't think that this thing just goes to $1. I think it goes to 130 to 140-ish region, but it's really in an awkward place right here because if it does come back down below this low from Saturday or Sunday of this, of this past week, I mean, at that point, that's signaling like a real, correction. I don't think it's going to take out these April lows. I don't think most things are going to be taking out their April lows, but I do think it could come down to 60 cents, put in a higher low, and then try higher. And again, I would look at that as more like long-term good thing. And, at that point, I think above $1 is almost guaranteed. You're probably looking closer to 130 to 140-ish region. So yeah. PC, nice name. Appreciate everything, brother. All good, man. Ethereum, nice. Ethereum cycle top price and when? I have no fucking clue, man. Like, maybe Ethereum should make a new cycle high first before we start talking about tops. I do think that Ethereum will trade higher from where it's at right now before the end of the cycle. We do see multiple drives of hidden bullish evidence on the monthly time frame, a very high term time frame. So I do think it's gonna. You're probably gonna see like 31, 32, 3,300 sometime this summer, I would guess. Is there a pullback in between? Sure. I mean, probably. But ultimately, I think that this thing will try higher. And I'd want to come back to it after that, man. I don't want to be calling like new highs from this area right here. But if I do go to a quarterly, you can definitely see the case for Ethereum. I think it's going to take a lot more of a long time, but the quarterly has hidden bullish divergence building. You basically have the same highs right here with higher lows. I mean, yes, it's not necessarily confirmed just yet, but I think it will work like that, these higher lows here. So you got low number 1, low number 2, same highs. I think it's wedging itself into one mega massive accumulation formation, something like this. Okay, let me get rid of this right now. But something like this, where you got your highs there, you got your lows incoming right here. I think it spends more time within this region, but this would be a very, very bullish long-term, like multi-cycle long consolidation. And if it does break out to the upside, which typically these things do, again, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. But if it did, your technical target, your implied target based off of just the formation, which can trade higher, by the way, than this, but just like your very high quality target would be around about $7,000 if that were to happen. But this thing could spend many years within this formation. I mean, like shit, it could easily go into 2026. I mean, it will go into 2026 almost undoubtedly. I have a really hard time seeing it like take out 2025 highs anytime soon. If we go to a yearly, same thing. What about a 6 month? Just curious. 6 months, same thing as well, man. Same thing as well. So I think it spends more time just in like a macro sense accumulating sideways, and probably sets it up for a nice breakout, not this year, but maybe next year or the year after that. I think it's going to take a long time. I think it's going to take a very long time, honestly. And yeah, the obvious target's going to be 7,000. Does it trade higher than that? definitely possible for sure. But I think 7,000 would be like, that like I feel very, very confident with saying, yeah, 7,000 is, probably going to be hit on this move. So yeah. All right, we'll do one more and then I absolutely need to go. Juice says, how long must you be in crypto to be considered an OG? Everyone has different ideas on this. So to be considered an OG, you need to have joined before at least a cycle or two before you actually joined. I think that's that's probably the most accurate description or what it feels like. So I joined in about 2016 to 2017. I do not feel like an OG. I feel like the people who are before 2014 are 2014 were like true OGs. Like those people, I tip my hat to these people because it's not fucking easy to hold through, these multiple cycles that they have. I mean, that truly is impressive. I do not look at these people as lucky. I mean, of course there is a degree of luck, but TJ Sonic on Twitter, actually the most redacted comment of the day. Krown calling 7,000 Ethereum, top is in, run. Are you fucking retarded? Like, are you actually fucking retarded? Like, do you not hear any of the nuances of the statement that I just laid out? Like, holy shit. Like, leave this channel. You're too fucking stupid. I'm sorry to be so rude and mean. I really am. But for fuck's sake, man, holy shit. How can that possibly be your takeaway from that statement? I genuinely would like to know where you get that from. Holy shit. Creative says wealth transfers from the impatient to the patient. I mean, if you are, of course, a long-term person, yeah, absolutely. For sure. Anyways, the William says the bottom line, as long as Bitcoin dominance continues, alt will fall at the wayside. Well, I mean, some of them can go up versus the dollar for sure. It's just that they're not going to be outpacing Bitcoin. Like that's definitely possible to happen, and we have seen that. I mean, Titcoin's going up. It is what it is, man. I should probably apologize for being so mean to that person, but it's just you see so many of these comments, and after a period of time, you're just like, there's no way this person actually thinks that. There's no way. I can't.
They need some tough love.
They need some tough love. Tough love, huh? Should we turn on tough love on the channel?
Yes.
Can be. No, I don't want to be making enemies or nothing like that. But it does genuinely concern me that like that's someone's takeaway. It's like, holy shit. This person can presumably vote and drive cars and just be out there in the world. This person's existing somewhere. All right, News Nook. We're going to do the last one for News Nook here. I need to buy gay coin if it's a thing. I think it actually is. You're looking at OLAS on daily, and then I can leave. All right, well, if you say so. I'm guessing it's this cryptocurrency here, Auto No Las. Wow, super good, man. Really, really good. And that's what we're going to leave it on. The best chart of the day. Shit, I can't say that. I mean, that fucking guy from Twitter is going to think, it's like, fuck, Krown's really bullish on this thing. Anyways, that's where I'm going to be, that's where I'm going to be signing off for today. Yeah, all good, TJ Sonic. All good, man. I know. I figured probably a joke. Fair enough, man. Yeah, I'm the asshole in this situation. Anyways, we'll sign off on that note. I need to get to my massage for the day because I am massively stiff in my neck. And yeah, that's what we'll end it. As always, I wish everyone the best of the best. Apologies for the well-intentioned but poorly formed jokes. We'll be back on tomorrow with another regular stream on actually Twitter, and then we shall do a regular video on YouTube. All right, take care, much love, and see you.